If you're asked to write a polynomial given a set of zeros, the way that you approach this is for every zero, you check to see. First thing is if there's any imaginary zeros or radicals, that you find the conjugate pairs. So there's no radicals, but there is an imaginary number. So you have to include its conjugate pair as an additional zero. So what is the conjugate pair of 3i? Remember, this is technically 3 or 0 plus 3i. So you're going to take the same two terms, the real and the imaginary term, opposite sign between them. So you're basically just taking 0 minus 3i. Okay, so negative 3i is your other 0. Okay, that's step 1. Okay, find your conjugate pair zeros. Once you establish this, the next step is to write each 0 as a factor. And the way that you do that is you just take x minus whatever it is. Now, if it happens to have multiple terms, I would encourage you to put it into grouping symbols. But that's all you need to do. So my next step here would be to write x minus a negative 1. X minus a negative 1. Now again, a negative 1 would just turn the sign to x plus 1, so I don't care if you leave it in that form or not. X minus 6, x minus a 3i, and x minus a negative 3i. Okay, so what I did here was I showed you, and again, this is kind of what I'll refer to tomorrow if any of you ask me on a test. If there's a question like this, what do you do? I'll say you should have been paying attention to what I did yesterday, because this is the easiest way you can write it so that you don't have to think through the process. Okay? Just copy it like this. Write it as a factor and don't switch anything. Just write x minus parentheses and then input the 0 that you have. Whether it has a single term, whether it has an I in it, whether it has two terms or a radical. Just if you enter it in this form, and then what's the one other thing you need to do in front of this to write as a polynomial? Yeah. Okay, you're going to use the expand command on your calculators, and you're going to type this whole thing in. Okay, so basically you're taking expand, and that whole thing goes inside. So here's what it'll look like. F2, Algebra tab, choose expand. My first factor is x minus a negative, so I'm just going to write plus 1, but you don't have to. You can write it exactly like it appears here. Times the next factor, x minus a negative, becomes a plus 1. Times the next factor, x minus 6. Times the next factor, x minus 3i. Again, make sure you're using this imaginary number I, which is second catalog, not just the letter I. Close off your grouping symbol. And then my final factor, x minus a negative, becomes a plus 3i. Again, the imaginary number I. Close off my entire expand command. And when I do that, I should have a polynomial. If you don't have a polynomial, you entered it wrong. Okay? And if you ask me for help tomorrow, if this type of question happens to be on your test, okay, I will simply tell you you entered it wrong. Okay, so if you didn't get a polynomial, so in this case I got a polynomial, so relatively certain did it the right way. I can write that out. So here I do need to go up and scroll out to see the rest of my number. And so that would be my answer.